Everybody, Digital Sticks here, and so now I have my index back from RMA, the new headset, and my first impressions putting this back on is I would swear they've made improvements to the index headset itself along the way, and probably quietly so, if they have. I can't guarantee that, but I know the first thing I'm impressed with is the black level. Guys, this is as black, or seems to be in my headset, maybe just a touch less than the black that I see when I preview these videos on my gaming monitor before I send it. So for all the talk about OLED and all of that, the black levels on the index are just fantastic. The vibrancy of the colors and everything. Coming back from the CV1, that should have been something that caught my attention as much as ever. I remember when I first upgraded to the index, it wasn't a deal breaker, but still. Also, the clarity in general seemed better. And so, still early on, but there seems to be, like God rays were not an issue. And let me browse around over here. Get to my own personal sweet spot, but yeah, which always, guys, the God rays, they were a disappointment the very first time I had an index. Like it was disturbingly bad, and I was surprised that wasn't an issue for more people until playing with it for a little bit. And the reality was they just simply did not become an issue on gameplay, period. And that was a common experience. So, but right now there are no God rays even when I look for them in this world. So this is just the VR chat home world, of course. Now I should see something perhaps, so I can't even force it. Even my own avatar has my logos, I have a contrast in colors going on here. So if there are God rays to be seen or found or made an issue of, I should have that just on my own avatar between the contrast between the text and the black. And I don't. So whether they've done something to improve it or not, but the thing there would be how they improved their lens technology, and by assisting with the Reverb G2, did that allow them to, did that give them the reasonable means to do an upgrade to the index as well? Like, where normally something like that kind of R&D or something might normally be only justifiable as part of a entirely new product launch. Since they're already helping with that and already assisting and already providing that for another company, is there any reason they couldn't just include that on their headset? And part of that would be probably the size, if the sizes of the panels of the Reverb G2 are the same as the size of the panels in the index, then it's entirely possible that it was a matter of just putting the lenses in. You can also adjust your lenses forward and backwards with the index. So the other possibility is if there is a slight difference, that you can just simply adjust it out. It seems fine, but yeah, the lenses all the way out on the index, that's getting down to Quest 2 field of view. Still better, actually, than the Quest 2. Original Quest. I can't comment on the Quest 2 directly, other than people say it's no better. So all the way forward, I would put this at Rift level. And then, of course, bringing them up as close as you can to your eyes, you get a really good field of view. A lot of people crank it all the way in. I'll leave it out a little bit of a hair, but it's definitely a better field of view. Other people comment sometimes on the vertical field of view. I know for myself, I can't even see any black at the top. So I can look all the way up, and I can see the more curvature at the base level of the lenses than I do at the top. But in any case, you definitely don't feel like you're wearing binoculars with the index. But personally, I found the CV1, as far as field of view, was an acceptable experience, even going back to it after the index. Clarity, of course I was already used to it, but it's really nice to not have screen door effect. If you really look, you can make something out. Then basically you got to look close, and then you can kind of purposely move around and start to gauge what might be screen door effect that then move. I mean, you could really tell that, you can if you insist on determining whether or not you're looking at a digital display, if you can't gather it from everything being animated around you, then you can look and you can find out, indeed, in spite of everything that your mind is telling you, you're not actually here, guys. You're not actually anime. I'm sorry. Even with an index, you don't actually become real life anime if anyone's after that. So a friend of mine told me that originally most people that were playing VR chat in its very early days were playing it because of the idea that VR allowed for anime to become real. like supposedly they were actually chasing the experience of being anime. And I don't know. Ever since I've played, most people are coming in here, and if there's fans of anime, they're fans of anime. But yeah, it's a social experience for the rest of us. So, and that's what it became. So I don't know. Anyways, food for thought. I digress. Okay, so obviously having touch controllers back. When I originally upgraded to the Index from the Rift, I didn't think that the controllers were that big of a deal. Like, it was great to have, don't get me wrong. I found having fingers to be really, really cool and impressive, but I didn't think it was that big of an upgrade over the CV1 gestures. And I was wrong about that. And using the CV1 again reminded me of that. Even though the base gestures that are set up are quite intuitive, and so that was kind of good, but it feels like latency because they're actually, once you make the hand motion to trigger the gestures, then VR chat will initiate the animation to complete the gesture. But also there's no way to separate animations linked to that gesture from the gesture itself. So I've gotten used to being able to turn my gesturing off with the Index and still have fingers. So if I have an avatar where the eyes do something stupid with open palms or whatever, I can make the gesture that puts the eyes where I want them, and then I can lock the gestures, still have finger movements, and not be messing with my eyes on the avatar I'm using. And also, if I have an avatar that has a crazy animation, that I accidentally trigger all the time, I can simply turn the gesturing off, still have fingers, not trigger that. So having fingers that are actually tracked is a nice advantage in VR chat over the gestures. But again, having touch sensitivity that triggers gestures, not bad. So that's better than not having any touch sensitivity whatsoever, because definitely touch and gestures makes more sense than purposely activating buttons to gesture. So, all right, with that, the blacks, the vibrancy of the colors I noticed, the apparently lower screen door. So I'm not going to suggest or even think that there's actually a higher resolution to it. But in my opinion, the Index resolution-wise leaves nothing to be desired. I mean, it doesn't mean that you would oppose having something with better resolution, but there's better resolution for somebody that's actually just wanting performance and value and enjoying their experience and all of that. I don't see any need to upgrade from the Index over resolution. More than that, I have a lot of refresh rate capability that I can't even take advantage of because I'm using a 1080 Ti still. So I'm able to play most experiences I want to play very enjoyably and at decent resolutions. Right now I'm at 120 frames in here, no problem, frames per second. But so my experience is going to be enhanced a lot by upgrading my GPU. And the bottom line is there's no better headset out there that I'm going to do any better with on my 1080 Ti than I do with the Index. So if I were to try to get a Reverb G2 and think that was the greatest thing ever, then, inside VR chat, I'm not going to see that benefit. I'm just going to be limited in my field of view, limited in my refresh rate, and I'm probably going to be having to scale back that resolution just to even get the frame rate I'm used to on my Index. So I just don't see that paying off. And then anything else where it's really better, if I want to simply stand in one's place and enjoy an experience, or simply watch a movie or something like that, then maybe I can find some kind of extra wow factor to the resolution. But basically, by the time I get to an experience where that would be the case, it's not going to be a wow factor. It's going to be like, oh, okay, so this is what people are talking about. And in the meantime, giving up on these controllers and the quality tracking and all of that, it's not good. And there's nothing about to spend $600 just to add a lower field of view headset to this experience that's going to demand that I give it a better GPU before it even starts to pay off. Makes no sense, guys. I'm going to put that money towards a GPU, and then I'm going to be good. I'm really going to be good. I've discovered just through testing and different things, just how much of a game changer higher refresh can be. And even in VR chat, when I first got it, just the difference between 120 and 90, I've gotten used to it now, but and most of the time in VR chat, even on the best of PCs, you're not going to be hitting those peak frame rates, even if, but if you have a stronger PC, you certainly have more opportunities that you're hitting it than I do with a 1080 Ti. But when I hit it in the hub, it was unreal what it felt like to pick up a pickup in there and swing it around. I was like, it really stood out. It was so fluid and everything. And then in Meditation VR, I think that's the name of it, using it on Steam VR, setting that to 144 frames per second and then looking around versus what it was on 120 frames per second, it was very amazing. So, a lot of gaming experiences and things are not going to let me do that, but when you're mostly standing in place and just moving around, it allowed that extra. So, guys, that's kind of an underrated element to the index. The other thing about the refresh rate is to have the higher refresh capability means the LCD panel has higher, faster acting LCD elements. So the pixels are faster changing. So even if you are not telling it to give you 144 frames per second, even on your 90 frames per second, you're getting less blur because you're not getting ahead of the refresh rate of the pixels themselves. So even if they're not being told to generate a new image, they are switching faster anyways. And that is in the panel. That is not requiring extra performance out of your PC to deliver that benefit. That also doesn't get covered as much, but it is very useful. And so that's good. Like for the Quest 2 even, supposedly it's going to be potentially possible that it could do 120 hertz. Now keep in mind, they teased that the original Quest could do 90 and they never delivered. So don't hold your breath on getting 120 out of a Quest 2. They'll probably refrain from that and let that be a selling point of the Quest 3. But the Index can really do 144 now. So there's so much room to grow with the Index. The capabilities of it completely exceed the capabilities of modern GPUs, even the 3090, which is top tier right now, period. That's just the reality of what it can do. And so, yes, you can go higher on resolution with a Reverb G2, but at some very expensive trade-offs or a very expensive need for a combination setup. So basically, all things considered, first impressions of the Index, having it back versus using the CV1, I'm wowed by it yet again. Now, this is an experience I'm kind of used to, so I'm probably settled back into it. If there are any enhancements, I guess I would see if I continue to get that impression, but I definitely know for sure that the colors, the black of my avatar and all that is not a downgrade from the CV1, even though it should be. That should be a downgrade between an OLED panel and an LCD panel. Unless, just by age, an OLED panel no longer is as vibrant, but that doesn't seem like that would affect black levels. But if it does, that's another reason to not worry about it. If your OLED panel is going to age and be no better anyways, then who cares? But I digress. I don't really have much else to add. I mean, it's just a great headset. There's a reason why people make content selling you other headsets, but when they're making content of actually playing a game, they're using the Index kit, and it's because it is the one to do. There's nothing you're left lacking or wanting. And if these people that are producing content weren't producing content, very few of them would have ever messed with the Reverb G2 or Quest 2. If they were simply VR for themselves and enjoying it, there's not a whole lot, There is a special niche of gamers and people out there that have to feel like they have the very best tippity top, regardless of what it costs, regardless of whatever. They have to try it. And so they can possibly eke out something they think is more impressive. But practically speaking, the Index is the goal right now for a complete VR experience, and it should be that standard for some time to come in the future. Even Valve replacing it with an Index 2 is not going to diminish the value of the original Index. There's going to be people that definitely want the upgrade for any cost, but there's going to be a lot of people, most likely myself included, that are not going to have a valid justification to upgrade or even a necessary need. So, I mean, my next step when it comes to PC is considering a GPU upgrade, or maybe just ignoring all of it until I'm ready to build a whole new PC and hand this one down, which isn't anytime soon. So I'm good, and a part of why I'm good is because of the Index, and so that's why I recommend it. You can put a fork in VR for the foreseeable future by having an Index kit, and that is a lot cheaper or no more expensive than it has been for people to be discontent with their headset and buy the next gimmick, next gimmick, next gimmick. So I cannot stress that enough. I get it. I understand the sticker price is a big shock. I understand it's not easily in reach. This is not something a kid can ask their parents for and expect to get it. But if you're an adult that earns your own money, $1,000 really isn't that much. I mean, if you're at the poverty level, you're probably not even looking at VR. But if you're of reasonable means, then and you're considering these things, then flexing your budget, not what you own, but flexing your budget to make a better value purchase really pays off when you're talking about something like the Index versus every other VR kit that you could possibly consider. I'm serious. All right, I'm Digital Sticks, and I am out. Thank you for watching.